Welcome back to AM Northwest. Our next guest's new film explores a father's 40-year secret and the painful turmoil that broke the family he left behind in the docuseries Selling Superman.
My father got the first solo issue of Superman from 1939. It was locked away for decades. He found out that was the second nicest copy of that book on the planet. That book could easily go for $3 to $4 million. My father had Asperger's, but not knowing it caused a lot of friction. It seems like ultimate fixation and hoarding. He kept collecting and needed more space and more space and more space.
You have no idea how oppressive he can be.
He was constantly neurotic about the security of the collection. We have each of them humidity controlled, climate controlled, multiple layers of security. He would have thought that was cool.
I'm sure his father loved him, but I don't know if Darren truly felt it.
He made life livable, but not worth living. I divorced. I said, I don't want any part of them.
If I wasn't around, there would be a big dumpster outside and she would just throw them in. Actually, she'd recycle.
Wow, we welcome the director of Selling Superman, Adam Schomer. Good to have you with us, Adam.
Thank you.
So where did you find out about this story? How did you find out about it?
Well, Darren and I went to high school together, so we knew each other. But then, 20, 25 years later, I had known him a little bit from the tech world, and then he
And Darren is the adult son in this, yeah.
Correct, yeah, main character, so
Yeah.
to speak. Adult son, and there's another son, and of course, Dale's wife. But Darren's the main inheritant of the comic book collection. And yeah, he just called me up and said, you didn't know this was a secret, no one in school knew it, but do you think it'd be something worth filming?
Yeah.
And of course, my gosh, the secret, the value that we put on things, how does a book become worth $4 million? This all fascinated me, the value we put on things.
What is the secret? Because wouldn't anybody just talk about, yeah, I've got this cool Superman or comic book collection?
Yeah, his father didn't want to. His father didn't let anybody talk about it.
So you're doing the absolute opposite, letting everybody know about it.
Exact opposite. In fact, Darren ends up going to Comic-Con, being on a panel, so it is really rewriting the old story, the story of hidden, don't tell anybody.
Right.
We don't even look at these books. They never read comics together either. So it was kind of it had a bit of a poison to it for Darren in terms of collecting, and he wanted to rewrite that, and he loved Superman, but comics, he wanted to do something different, make it a family affair, share it with his friends, make it a treasure hunt with his buddies.
The mom sounds really upset. What's going on with her?
She's
what happened?
Yeah, she's amazing. The comics, I think, were really upsetting in the way her husband treated her. He had Asperger's, and it went largely undiagnosed, but recognizing feelings can sometimes be an issue, and when you've gone too far. So traditionally, she would need to kind of escape quite often because he was just super argumentative, and so it was a tough life for her in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, she was provided for, and she mentions that, like, we had a good life, but not a life worth living, right?
Yes.
Meaning, didn't feel very connected, and so when she decided to divorce him, she wanted nothing to do with the comics, much to the upset of the lawyers, right? Because they knew there was something there. No one knew the value, but there's something there. She's like, I don't want anything to do with it.
So the adult kids inherited it.
Yeah.
Darren inherited it.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, so the dad must have spent a lot of time with this collection.
Yeah.
So that means what kind of attention are the kids getting?
Exactly, and sometimes he wouldn't go on family vacations, didn't want to travel because he was afraid that someone might steal the comics. So it got
paranoid.
Yeah, that paranoid. It got to that level, and the irony is, no one even knew they had the collection. So who's really going to even know to steal them?
Right.
And as Darren would say to me, he's like, it would take hours with trucks to try and steal something like this.
Yeah.
There's so many multiple rooms of a house that, again, you're keeping secrets. So if you have people over, you can't even take them in certain rooms of the home.
Now, as the director of this documentary, were you able to stay objective? Because you're talking to a man who's now finding out about a part of his father he didn't know.
Yeah.
He really didn't know his father in so many ways.
Yeah, there was a lot of mystery that he didn't know. Later in episode 4, we go back and look and talk to some of his father's friends in the comic book world and see that other side of his father that Darren really didn't know about.
Right.
The buddy cheers, go to the comic book store, and what was he like then? And they didn't know about the collection either. They knew he was getting books.
Right.
And they would do family things like, let's go to have pizza, go to the comic store, and then Toys R Us. But as Darren says in the film, it wasn't for us, it was for him. He was buying toys and just keeping them.
Oh, what did you learn that you can reveal without revealing too much?
Sure.
That surprised you?
Oh my gosh, there was so much, but I didn't know that he had an aunt in essence, his father's sister that was collecting dolls and Disney characters, and she's down in Orlando, so that comes up in episode 3.
Does she have Asperger's?
No, no.
Oh.
Yeah, his father was incredibly verbal, so Asperger's is very different than ASD or the autism spectrum.
Okay.
He's incredibly verbal. He was a lawyer at University of Michigan. No, she's the most social person I've probably ever met. Amazing, just also loved collecting. So what was revealed was this deepening family portrait. You know, you go to school with someone when you're a kid, but you never sit down with their mom and say, what did you like about your husband?
Right.
What brought you in?
Wow.
And to hear that, and from what I found out about her father and why she was attracted to someone like Dale, and you start to see this generational, I wouldn't say necessarily trauma, but conditioning that we pass on and on and on. And at some point, we all have to break it on some level. And I know Darren is in that process of breaking it, and the film really actually pushed him to do that.
Do you feel like you became a part of the family shooting all this?
For sure, and for sure part of his life in a big, big way. You know, the film, you get very intimate.
Can you tell us if you sold the first Superman comic book?
I can just tell you there is a big sale in the
Yeah,
in
I
the
want to
series.
know who got how many million was it? 3-something million?
It could be worth 3 million, 4 million, who knows?
Whatever somebody's willing to pay for
That's
it.
always it.
Yeah, that's the
whatever
case. There is a screening of all 4 episodes of Selling Superman. It's the world premiere here in Portland.
Yeah.
This Wednesday night at 6:30 at Cinema 21, followed by a question and answer with Adam. We'll have more information for all of you on our website at katu.com. Adam, thank you so much.
Thank you. This was great.
All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.